Hi there, and welcome to Module 5 of this course. In this module, we will be exploring building habits and motivation. Basically, we're touching on how to build the habits and the motivation that will take you from just having an idea for your book to the point where you actually have a book, through the process of writing the book to the point where you actually have a book, to the point where you are able to publish your book. Um, and our first lesson is touching on the MVP writing habit. Now, we're familiar with what MVP means in the tech world. It actually means minimum viable product. So that's usually like the littlest, the smallest, the smallest, most useful version of a tech product, like an app or a website or whatever. So like that's the smallest form of it. But in writing, we call it the minimum viable progress. It's a minimum viable progress writing habit, and I would explain what that means. So, what is MVP? So, we're going to refer to it as MVP going forward. What is MVP in writing? Firstly, is the smallest possible writing step that counts. Is the smallest, littlest thing that you could do to add to your writing that would make impact, no matter how small the impact is. And this model focuses majorly on progress rather than perfection. So, because the way the model, the structure of this form of writing is measured, it's not about, whether you're writing the best things, whether you're using the best grammar, whether you are finished with the book. It's more intent on, did you make progress today? Are you making progress tomorrow? Are you making progress the day after that, right? It's more focused on progress rather than perfection. Also, it builds momentum through consistency. It's like this saying that they have, with a little drop of water, over a long period of time will end up making a mighty ocean, even though it's just a drop a day. Eventually it ends up making a mighty ocean. Now that's not very practical because there's evaporation and all of that, but just little by little, if you go from point A to point B, and every day you take a spoon of sand from a molehill to to dry ground, and you keep doing that every day from one spot to the other, before you know it, you've transported the entire molehill to you know to another place. Before you know it, after a period of time, you would have transferred it. So you're making little impact and you're building momentum. And before you know it, because you're consistent in trying to make progress, because you're consistent in the little things that you're doing, the smallest possible writing things that you're doing, you end up actually building momentum. And before you know it, you made a lot of progress in your writing journey. Now, an example of an MVP might be, just writing one sentence, one paragraph, or one sticky note a day. Right. Like, okay, so I'm writing a book and I know that I do not have a lot of time. So every day, the minimum thing I could do, the littlest thing I would do is that I'll write one paragraph. No matter how busy I am, even if I'm about to go sleep, even if it's first night in the morning, no matter how many things I have to juggle, I'm going to write one paragraph and then I could do something else, right? So that's an example of an MVP. Or you could say, let's say you're still trying to structure stuff and you've not had time to come to put everything together. Maybe you're still thinking through your book and you say, you know what, while I'm still trying to put this idea together and all of that, I'm just going to do one sticky note on something I would like to talk about in the book. I'm going to do that once a day, for like the next 2 weeks, right? Before you know it, you already have the structure of everything that you would like to say in the book. You have enough. Funny thing is, I think what usually would end up happening is day one you put one sticky note, day two you put one sticky note. Let's say for some reason you miss day three, but hopefully you do not. Day four you put another sticky note. By day five you're like, oh, you know what? I had like 4 ideas yesterday, and you're putting 4 sticky notes. Maybe by day six you're putting just one sticky note. Day seven you have 3 sticky notes. Before you know it, like you've got enough to write a book. You're more excited about writing the book because you're building momentum through consistency. You're doing it consistently. You're taking little steps, and it helps your brain, it helps your mind to familiarize with the thing that you're trying to get done. Right. Another example of an MVP is that you say, I'm going to edit one paragraph per session. Right. Every time I'm going to sit down to write, once I'm done writing whatever I want to write that day, I'm just going to go back up to the beginning and I'm going to try to edit one paragraph. Or let's say you're done with the book already and you want to do some self-editing, you've not had the time to. So you just tell yourself, you know what, every time I open my laptop, every time I'm on my laptop, the first thing I'm going to do before I close my laptop, I'm going to make sure that I edit one paragraph, or I say I'm going to edit 2 paragraphs. Like, these are just examples, they are not rules. So it depends on, what you're trying to do. Another example of an MVP is that you record one voice note about your topic. So let's say you're working with the recording, model where, you create a voice note and then you either send it to a transcription software or you give it to artificial intelligence or you give it to a virtual assistant to transcribe for you. Um, let's say that's the model that you're working with. An example of an MVP in that, in that model would be that, oh, you know what, today I'm going to send every day, I'm going to make one voice note um, for for about this topic. So let's say you're working on a chapter this week. You've told yourself, okay, this week I'm working on one chapter. So each day I'm going to make one voice note about the topic of that chapter, right? Or let's say your chapters are very short chapters and you're someone who likes to talk a lot. You're like, every day I'm going to make one voice note for one chapter. So I'm basically doing voice notes for one chapter every day so that you can maybe, let's say you're working with just 7 chapters before you know it, or let's say you're working with 14 chapters before you know it, you have you have the entire book recorded in about 2 weeks, right? So that's an example of an MVP. Now, why does an MVP work? Number one, it helps you to reduce being overwhelmed, and it also keeps you away from procrastination because the truth is, when you're overwhelmed, it's harder to work, especially when it comes to creative actions like writing or mentally heavy things like writing, because writing can be mentally heavy. Your brain is doing a lot of work trying to process information and arrange them, get them in order. So it's very easy for you to get overwhelmed. And when you get overwhelmed, you can't make progress. So doing an MVP and having like building that habits where you're consistently taking little actions reduces the chances of you getting overwhelmed. And also procrastination is also an enemy of writing. It's an enemy of completing anything, to be fair. But in writing, you're just going to keep procrastinating, and you will not get it done. So you see people who have said, I've had a book idea for like 3 years and they've not done anything about it. They just keep procrastinating. I write sometimes. But if you're working with an MVP over a period of time, even if you break your habits sometimes, before you know it, you have something to show for it, right? And another reason is that it encourages daily wins, no matter how small. And this is what I think about daily wins or just winning in general. If you notice, whenever you do something and you feel successful at it, it gives you the ginger, it gives you the energy, it gives you the motivation to go to do something else. So if I look at it and I'm like, oh, I was able to do my voice note today, that's amazing. I'm so proud of myself. That's amazing. Tomorrow I'm going to be excited to get it done too. Right. And the day after, I'm like, oh, yes, I was able to do my voice notes for 2 days. I feel really great. I'm making progress. I'm going to do it again. Or let's say you're writing every day, you're doing one paragraph per day, right? Yeah, it might look like it's something small, but just knowing that at least I sure did something. I did something on my book today. The next day, I did something on my book. Before you know it, you're also building confidence, right? That you can actually do it. I think another reason why MVP works that I didn't had here is the fact that it helps you combat with imposter syndrome, because you tend to see when you're winning every day, you obviously would not need anybody to come and tell you that, oh, you know what, you're doing great, or oh, you can actually do it, because you can literally see yourself doing it every day. And then lastly, as it says here, it keeps your brain engaged with the project. And the upside of keeping your brain engaged with the project is that you're able to end up doing even more than the littlest things that you want to do every day. Before you know it, let's say you've been writing a paragraph every day, you're at work and some ideas are dropping and you're just noting them down. And by the time you get home, you have like 4 paragraphs ready to go, right? Or you have an extra voice note ready to go, because your brain is accepting that this is something that you're doing, it's engaging with it, it's excited about it, and it's now giving you, all that you need to get it done. So that's why an MVPs work. The action steps for the MVP process is, firstly, you define what your MVP is. You can define what your MVP is for a day rather than for tomorrow. So the idea is, okay, you're sitting there like, what do I want to be able to do tomorrow? Okay, I want to be able to do a paragraph. But basically, you're saying that this is what I want to do every day. I'm going to do a paragraph every day, and I'm going to do maybe every working day. I'm going to do one paragraph or one page. Or for writers who are very experienced, you hear them say, "Okay, I have a target to meet. I'm writing 5,000 words a day." It's mostly because they've been writing for a while, so it's easier. Their brains are already very engaged with the process of actually churning out content. So that might be their own MVP. But for you, it might be a page. I'm going to write a page every working day, and I'm going to write like 5 pages throughout the weekend. Whatever your MVP is, pick it out. Let it be something every day. Let's not do work day and weekend. Just every day, I'm going to write one chapter. right? Or every day rather, I'm going to write one page. Every day I'm going to write one paragraph, and then commit to doing it for a fixed period of time. So firstly, define what your MVP is going to be. Writing a paragraph in a day, for example. Secondly, commit to doing it for a fixed period of time, right? Which is like 7 days, 2 weeks, an entire month. And then lastly, you can also track your progress visually. You could create a board, you could create like a um, daily login. You could use these accountability apps so that you show, okay, this is a goal I'm trying to get done, and every day I want to do so and so, and then you just input it so you can see that, oh, you made a lot of progress last week, right? Or you could even just create on a board, or on a calendar, just tick every day that you get, you get it done. Every day that you meet that MVP, track your progress. You could use a board, you can use just a cardboard in your room, you could use a visual calendar on your phone. You could use a lot of things, but just try to track your progress visually in a place, whether it's on your gadgets, on any of your gadgets, or it's in your room or in your office or whatever. Just make sure it's somewhere that you can see. And the second lesson is for time blocking and energy management. This is also something to help you, get your book done. Um, Firstly, what is time blocking? I believe that this is a term that most of us are already familiar with. Time blocking generally is scheduling or cutting out dedicated time for a particular activity, right? So time blocking in writing is basically scheduling dedicated distraction-free blocks of time for writing. So basically, you're saying, every 9 p.m. to 10 p.m., I'm going to be writing. I'm going to turn off my phone. I'm going to play some music, and I'm just going to sit down and write. And I'm going to tell everybody around me, my husband or my wife and my kids, what, from 9 to 10, I'm going to be busy. I'm writing my book. So you could cut out time. It helps with, we're talking about habits, and this is something that helps with, building an habit, because you know that at a certain time every day you have to show up to get so and so done, right? And the second thing is, the time what time blocking actually does rather is I prevent multitasking and increases your focus. So one of the things I did, while I was trying to publish my most recent book, Remy, was towards the end I was running out of time because I had a date set that I knew that I needed to launch the book. So what I did was I took it, I would take my phone and put it all the way in my kitchenette, or in another room where I can see or hear it, and I'll play music to at a volume that was fine with my brain. I would go on YouTube. I would look for writing music. I like classical music, so I'd have it playing. I would put my phone on D&D. I would also still put it on silent, but I'm listening to music, and I'm just there. And I tell myself, for the next 3 hours or for the next 2 hours, this is what I'm doing, right? I'm going to make sure that I write within this period of time. Sometimes I would not be fully writing. I might just be thinking through what I'm trying to write, and before you know it, I'm clacking on my keyboard again. But what happened was I would not pick up my phone to start using social media because my phone is not in the same room with me. I'll be very focused, and the only thing I'll be focused on is what I'm trying to write. It works for fiction and non-fiction just about the same way. Now, how do you block time for writing? Firstly, you pick your best energy time. Is it morning? Is it midday? Is it evening? For me personally, as long as there's no light entering the room, it's the best time of the day. That's the best time of my day. Whenever I wake up, as long as I can get a glass of tea or a glass of, I don't really take coffee, but for some people it'll be coffee. As long as I can get a cup of something warm to drink, and I'm settled down and just, soaking in the day, and there's little to no light coming into the room, I've got my socks on. That's my best energy time. Sometimes that could be in the middle of the night. As long as I'm just waking up, I can, go and write. As long as there's no light entering the room. So for me, that's my best energy time whenever I'm waking up. So if I'm working US time and I'm waking up around, let's say I'm in Nigeria and I'm waking up around 2 p.m. or 12 p.m., I'm working US time. That's my morning. I would make sure there's no light streaming into the room. I would get my laptop, put on my glasses, and I will go for it, right? So you pick your best energy time. If that's midday for you, then make it work. If it's evening, make it work. If it's morning, then make it work. Secondly, block 15 to 30 minutes on your calendar daily or weekly. Now, you might think to yourself, why can't I just do 1 hour? Why can't I just do 2 hours? The idea is for you to start small, right? And be consistent with that time. Now, if you overshoot the time sometimes, then it's fine, but at least have a minimum that you're working with. So block 15 to 30 minutes on your calendar daily at a fixed time, right? And then show up. For some people, you might be so busy that you can only write maybe on Tuesdays. So block out whatever period of time you can write on Tuesday, block it out on your calendar. Also, you can use alarms or reminders to protect the time. And here's how you can do that. You can, let's say you're writing 4 p.m. every Tuesday, and you want to write from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m., right? So with the example right now is 2 hours for a weekly setup. So you set an alarm for 3:30 p.m., 3:45 p.m., and 4 p.m. so that whatever you're doing by 3:30 p.m., you have a notification that makes sure that you remember that you've got something that you're about to start doing, and you can wrap whatever you're doing up. It reminds you by 3:45, and then by 4 p.m., you can take your phone, put it on DND, and also set a timer, right? So that I want to write, I'm just writing for 30 minutes. You put a timer for 30 minutes, or you put a timer for, let's say you're doing 2 hours weekly, and you just put a timer. You put your phone somewhere that it's a bit far from your ends, and you start writing, right? Or if you're making recordings, you start recording. Just make sure that your phone is on silent so you don't get disturbed by notifications or calls. And you can also use the timer so that it reminds you when you have gotten into your time limits. There's always that rush of, I think it's endorphins when you've successfully done something. So let there be a reminder. And that way also you would not always be checking the time, and being time conscious will not become a distraction. Energy management tips. Firstly, write when you are naturally most alert. Like I said, for me, it's when I'm awake. Once I wake up, as long as I've gotten a glass of something warm, I'm good to go. Like I'm alert, my brain is working. Second thing is to take short breaks to refresh your mind. You don't need to be typing the entire 30 minutes if you're working with 30 minutes. You can, just take your hands off the keyboard and try to process what you're saying. Like I said, that 30 minutes might not necessarily be you typing throughout. Your brain would need time to sort of piece things together. Your brain will also be giving you ideas on how to work. Like your brain is going to be your biggest partner on this journey, whether you're working like voice notes or you're writing yourself, right? So take short breaks to refresh your mind, especially if you're not working with like a longer period of time. Like let's say someone who's working like an hour or 2 hours. Taking a short break is very, very important. Stand up, stretch your feet, stretch your legs, get a cup of water, take a drink, you know, try not to engage in any crazy activities, but just step outside, go see the sun, come back, just refresh your mind and come back and continue, right? I don't think social media breaks would be worth it because social media tends to fully distract you rather than refresh your mind. So I would advise you go out, look at the skies a little bit, or just stretch your feet a bit, stretch your legs, rather. I keep saying your feet, stretch your legs a little bit, and engage in similar activities. And lastly, avoid heavy tasks before writing blocks, right? Avoid things that are mentally draining before it's time for you to write, so that it's easier on your brain, it's easier on your mind. You don't come into your writing block tired. If you come into your writing block and you're tired, then there's most likely you're probably going to end up writing things that you're going to end up deleting because your energy is going to be very obvious. Even if you're working with voice notes, whether you're typing, your energy is going to be very obvious. The kind of words that you use, the speed at which your brain will be processing stuff would be quite different. So I would advise that you manage your energy by ensuring that you avoid everything's like any heavy tasks, any draining tasks, any tasks that are very heavy on the mind, very heavy on the body too. Um, Before you start writing, you probably do not want to do that. So yes, the three energy management tips. I'm going to run through them again. Firstly, write when you're most naturally alert, right? So you know that during that period you have a lot of energy to push into what you're writing, so you can write at that period. Secondly, take short breaks to refresh your mind, and lastly, avoid heavy tasks before your writing blocks. And the third lesson is on overcoming writer's doubt and imposter syndrome. Firstly, what is writer's doubt? Writer's doubt is basically fearing that your writing is not good enough, it's never going to be good enough, nobody's going to want to read it, right? Secondly, it's also you comparing yourself to authors who have been published already, which I think is really crazy because the truth is, many authors who were published already, number one, their handwriting, don't worry, your handwriting is probably a lot better than theirs. Your use of grammar is probably a lot better than theirs. Some of them, a lot of them usually have a lot more experience than you that's just starting out than you do, right? So don't compare yourself with published authors. Don't do it. Don't do it. Many of them have teams. This one, many of the authors that work with like publishing firms, they have teams that have edited and restructured and sent the book has probably been sent back to them like 5 times for them to make major corrections. So don't compare yourself to them. Don't do that. But that's what writer's doubt is. Fearing that your writing is not good enough, comparing yourself to published authors, and also feeling stuck, like I don't know, basically in that mess space that I'm not really sure if I want to, put it there. I'm not sure if I want to put it out there. I'm just not sure. I'm just not sure. It's majorly because you're doubting yourself, or when you say you're not ready to share um, the knowledge that you have or your ideas. Mostly is because you're doubting that people are you're either doubting that people are going to read it, you're doubting that you're not good enough to write it. A lot of things, right? I'm going to give you a very realistic instance. People who know me in and outside of writing will tell you that I tend to be very vulnerable about my journey. Like I teach with realism. Before I created these courses, the writing and publishing courses that you're going to be seeing for Coach Marvel, I thought to myself, I'm like, I'm not sure. I doubted that, people are actually going to, I knew I had a lot of knowledge to share. Like, would people actually want to, learn this? But I had to keep reminding myself that they would. And at some point, I had to start asking myself again, like, are you sure you're qualified? And I had to answer myself back, you've got almost 10 years of experience. You've been doing this for people for so long, right? Why not just put it out there? You do have the authority to do this if, um, at your age, because I'm a bit young, at your age, you have almost 10 years of experience. You've been doing this you've been writing even since you were a kid, but you have almost 10 years of professional experience. Yes, you've helped many people succeed in their writing journeys either by writing for them or teaching them how to write. You've led teams of writers. You have published books, right? So everybody doubts, but writer's doubt is basically when you're doubting about, your writing. And it's very important for you to recognize the signs of writer's doubt or imposter syndrome. The first one, for instance, there are quite a number of them, but the major ones are, firstly, who am I to write this book? When you're asking yourself that question, like, who do I think I am? Which is what I was asking myself about this course. Like, who do I think I am? What do I think is going to, why do I think I have the authority to write this book? Another sign is saying, oh, people are going to judge me. They're going to say, oh, she does not have the right. Oh, she's not good enough. Oh, other people have written better books. That's another sign. Another sign is I'm a fraud, or I'm just a beginner. Well, those are signs of imposter syndrome. Those are signs of writer's doubt. But these are majorly signs of, imposter syndrome. This is what it looks like when you start to ask yourself interesting questions or make interesting assumptions of what people would say about you, or when you start to judge yourself without people even judging you, just to discourage yourself from doing something that you know in your heart of hearts that you really want to do. Now, here are some strategies to overcome doubt. Firstly, you need to remember that everybody starts somewhere. The writers that you see, the books that you see out there, they had a first book. They all had a first book. And trust that they all were doubtful about whether they could or could not write that book, they could or could not publish that book. They all started somewhere, right? Secondly, remember that you need to focus on your progress, not perfection. You need to focus on the fact that, you've made progress from wherever it is that you're coming from in your journey, whether it's entrepreneurial, whether it's professional, whether it's a creative journey. Focus on that progress. Focus on the progress you've made there. Focus on the progress you can make in your writing. You're never going to be perfect. So there's no essence chasing perfection. You are never going to be perfect. Like, you're never going to get to the point where you make absolutely no mistake. Even with my almost 10 years of experience, trust me, I still make mistakes. I make interesting mistakes that give me headaches. But I can't be perfect. I'm trying my best, but I know that I've made so much progress, no matter the mistakes that I make. So I don't think you're ever going to get to that point where you're perfect. That's my personal opinion. I've not met anybody who is 100% perfect. Most of the books that you see out there that look well done, they look well polished, no mistakes, amazing colors, all the pages are apt, the design is on point, the communication, trust me, they probably got over 20 people who had to look at that book, just look at the book, edit, restructure. The author probably had to go through it like a number of times. If they were perfect, they would get on first try, right? So focus on your progress and forget about perfection. The next thing is to celebrate your small wins and your feedback, right? Every time that you make little progress, celebrate it. So if you're working with like the MVP model, every time, or the time blocking model, every time you're able to complete a task, celebrate it, get yourself a snack if you're someone who likes rewards. Um, or whatever it is that works for you, just whatever celebration method works for you to encourage yourself, celebrate it. And also when you maybe you have an advanced readers copy, which is an ARC, we call that an ARC, pronounced ARC. Let's say you give someone to read, or maybe there's a better reader, or you just someone close to you, just like, you know what, can you look at this chapter and tell me what you think? Celebrate the feedback that they give you. They're not going to tell you that, oh my God, it's so perfect. They're probably not going to say that. They're probably not going to say, there's no mistake here. Oh my God, this book has changed my life already, and you've not even finished it. They're probably not going to say that. But trust me, they're going to say good things. Firstly, they're going to be impressed by the fact that you've written the book. So take that feedback and enjoy it, celebrate it, right? Also, some mental habits to build your confidence are firstly daily affirmations that are related to the person that you are, your authority. Those would be very helpful. Secondly, you can journal your breakthroughs and progress. You can journal them if you're a journaling person. That's something that you can also do to help yourself. And you can also join supportive writing communities. Emphasis on the supportive. And also be careful that you don't put out, your manuscript just on any platform. Anybody can steal it, right? Especially when it's not copyrighted yet. So anybody can steal it. So you probably do not want to do that, right? So, but join supportive writing communities where you can talk about, I'm having issues writing, I'm currently suffering from writer's block, or you can even hear the experience of other people who are writing and what their experience has been like. It helps you feel seen, and it helps you feel like you belong somewhere. You're not crazy for picking up a book and trying to write it. So find communities like that on Facebook, Reddit. I think there might be some on Slack, on Discord. Just find writing communities like that. All right, that's it for module 5. In the next module, we're going to be talking about how to polish up your manuscripts. See you then.